Security here and on to part 5 of the series. So this is where we left off in the previous video. We had created this section with a button over here. So similar to this section with that join as button. But before we go on, I actually just realized that I didn't point out where to find container in the Bootstrap documentation. So if you go to the documentation, it should be in the overview section. So let's see. Let's scroll down. Wait, where is overview? You can use the search and overview. There we go, layout overview. And so that's where you can actually see container, and it shows you how it works. There are two classes. There's the container class and there's the container fluid class. You can see the difference. The container fluid almost fills the space and it adjusts as the screen size increases or reduces. That's really helpful. So over here, we're actually using this class, the container class. And here you can see that it says it's required when using a default grid system. I'll show you guys the grid system pretty soon for this section. That's what we're actually going to use. Okay, let's see what else. Also, if you realize in the code, we actually wrote border radius over here. We said border radius would be 0. That was for the Jumbotron section, so that we don't have like edges on this image. So it's either you can write custom code, or Bootstrap has some shorthands you can use as well. If you go into the utilities section and you go under borders, you can see border 0 will remove the border radius and all of that. And even if you add classes like rounded, you have something like this, rounded top. So any of these classes can actually work for you as well. I just prefer to use the custom CSS. It's not much easier, but it'll keep the HTML code cleaner. And so that's that. So moving on, we're actually going to recreate these 3 sections over here. So you have an image and you have text beneath, image, text beneath, image, text beneath. Now we can easily do this using basic HTML. We can create 3 divs, float them, and then put text underneath it. If we do this, you can actually see some of the features of Bootstrap. So instead of just doing simple images, I'm going to use a Bootstrap component known as cart. So I'm going to component and scroll all the way down to CAD. And in the CAD section, you see an example. So this is pretty much what it looks like. You have an image that goes here, and then you have text that comes right beneath the image, and you have a button. We're going to remove the button. So that's just, let's see, it's just going to be an image, and then it's going to be text. Okay, great. But before we get started, we need to have these images and text fit into the container section side by side. And also we want it to be responsive. Mind you, everything we've built so far is responsive because Bootstrap is built with mobile devices in mind, so has like a mobile first approach. So I'll show you. It's if I go into mobile view, there we go. You can see already we have a mobile menu and everything falls into place. I don't even need to write custom media queries for that. So you don't have to worry about responsive design as you go on. Okay, so to create this section, I'm actually going to duplicate this. Let's duplicate this, and I'm going to go to, okay, we are in the component section. Let's see, maybe layout to layout, and we're going to go to the grid section of the layout, and we'll scroll down. I'll show you. So the Bootstrap system is actually interesting, but it divides the page up into 12 sections. Okay, so let's see if I can actually explain this using, let's say, Keynote. This is going to be really basic, guys, but at least will give you a brief understanding. Let's say new document. Okay, there we go. So just assume the entire website is just this box right here. So let's say this is the entire section of the website. Bootstrap pretty much divides this entire section up into 12 parts. And so you will have pretty much 12 sections over here. And so maybe there's a section 1, section 2, section 3, and then it keeps going and divides all the section up into 12 parts, right? And so you're able to write code to show how many sections or how many columns, as they call it in Bootstrap language, that you want your element to cover. So for example, if I want my element to cover 3 columns, that means my element is going to be this big. It's going to pretty much occupy this entire space over here. So this will be 3 columns from this section to this section. If I want it to be 6 columns, then that means I'm basically going to duplicate this. Let's see if I can do that. Uh-oh. So now this will be it. It will cover these 6 columns. Well, technically 7 if you count this section in addition to it. So this is pretty much how it divides the page. So let's get back into the code and let me show you what this actually looks like. And that's where you can see over here the columns section of it. To make it easier, let's see if we can find a better example in the documentation. Okay, good. So over here, you can see that the page is actually divided into 4 columns, right? The page is actually divided into 12 columns. And so here, if you see column 8, it means this section from here all the way to this section is covering 8. And from here to here, it's actually covering just 4 columns, okay? And same is true for the vertical and horizontal sections as well. So let's actually see how that works in the code. Let me copy and paste an example. Okay, so I'm actually going to go with this example and I will show you guys how it actually works in code. So I copied from the row, the div with the class of row, all the way down to where the div ends. So make sure you don't copy the second section, otherwise you have errors in your code. So I'm going to copy that, go back to my code, and I can say, let's just call this image section. I'll scroll down and I will paste this here. Let me format that properly. Okay, good. And I actually want this to be my container element. So I'm actually going to open up the container div by cutting this and pasting it right here. And so I'm going to take this in a bit so that, okay, now that makes sense. It lines up perfectly. Okay, good. So now here's what is happening. In the container div, you have a much smaller div called row. And the row section has been broken down into 3 columns. So each column over here, as you can see, this column has column 6, which means it's taking 6 columns. And that leaves 6 columns for this first div and this third div to fill. So if I change it to, let's say, 4 over here, and I change this to 4 too, and I change this to 4, and I'm going to give this, just so that we can see it, I'm just going to call this, let's say call 1. This is just to give it some color so that you can actually see the difference. Let's call this the column 2, column 3. Okay. Yep. And I'm going to go here and let's say that. Say background color. Wow, actually bad idea. The point was to show differences, so that won't work. Could have probably just written the CSS in the HTML, but it's alright. Let's do this. Maybe green. Okay, let's see how this actually looks. Okay, there we have it. So you see this still falls into the container section, and all of a sudden we've created 3 sections. We have the first section which covers 4 columns, we have the second section which covers another 4 columns, and we have the final section which covers another 4 columns, making it 12 columns. If I go ahead and I change this up, let's say I go into the code and I give the first one 6 columns, which means I have to give this, let's say I leave this as 4 columns, making it 10, and I change this to 2, brings it up to 12. Let's see how that affects this. Okay, so you can see this now covers how many columns? So there's 6, there's 4, and that's 2. So it changes accordingly. And this is all responsive. And so if I go in here, you can see it all fits into the screen as well. Okay, so good. But we actually want it to be even, so I'm going to go ahead and change this to 4, keep that at 4, and keep that at 4. And so let's see, it switches back and it's all even right now. Okay, excellent. I am going to leave the colors in place so that as we make changes you can see it, and after that I'm going to remove it. Okay, so now that we have our 3 columns set up, each occupying 4 columns, I will go ahead, and by the way, if you don't understand this, you can actually read through the Bootstrap documentation for the grid system. It's fairly easy to understand. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the card section and I'm going to use this card. So every column is going to have its own card. I'm going to start by copying this code right here. So copy. And I'm going to paste the code right where you have the text. So 1 of 3, 2 of 3, and 3 of 3. I'm going to replace it. So let's do that, and let's paste first the code. Do this better. Okay, there we go. That's column 1 right here. And if this will help so that you can see. So I'll just say col1 ends. You can see the difference right there. I'm going to paste it again in the second section. And we can say col2 ends. And I'm going to paste it in the third section. Say col3 ends. This is actually the row, if I'm right. Is that correct? Yep. Do I have access? I don't believe so. Because this is the I don't think I have access HTML. Let's see, access div tag. Yeah, I don't. So these are the images, this is the text, and then these are the buttons. I'm going to go ahead and save these images. So save image as, downloads. Let's call this just col1. Let's save this image to, call this col2. Let's save this, call it col3. Okay, so I'm going to go here and find our image tag. So this is the image tag. This is where the images will go. As you can see, the source section is blank. And I'm going to say images, col1, JPG. Just going to copy this and just change the numbers. So this is the second card. I'll change this to 2. This is the third card. I'll change that to 3. There we go. Now we have to move the cards from our downloads folder all the way to desktop and demo site and images. Okay, there we go. Now let's see how it looks like on our site. Okay, perfect. So it actually fits into the site perfectly and has the text in. So I'm going to go ahead and remove these colors. It actually looks very ugly, but you get the point. I just wanted to show you how the column system works. So let's go here and You know, these classes might actually be necessary at some point. Who knows, maybe if we want to write custom CSS, I'm going to leave it there, but instead I'm just going to clear all of this. So let's see. Perfect, and there we go. We have this and we have that. I think we have some padding issues over here. So, or margin issues. So I'm going to go to the top where everything starts on the row, and I'm going to give the row, let's say, a margin top of 3 rems. Save that, let's see, and then you can see it moves up there. Okay, so we have all of this, and we have the buttons. So what is the text? The Paris Agreement. Very important agreement. Goes there, we have nature is the answer, goes into a second cut title, credit where it's due, goes over here. Perfect. And now let's copy this. Climate action plan is unprecedented. That'll come under the first one, right inside the paragraph element. Copy the second. And let's copy the third. Okay, excellent. Let's see what it looks like now. Uh-oh, I screwed up somewhere. Let's see what happened over here. There we go. Okay, perfect. So you have the text over here, and then you have subtext under it. These guys don't have any buttons underneath their text. So I'm going to go ahead and remove these buttons, but if you need it, obviously keep it in there. It actually makes the cards nicer, but I'm actually going to remove that. So this is it. Gone, gone, and gone. Let's see. Okay, good. So you have your menu, you have the Jumbotron section with a call to action button, you have some main text over here, a button, and then you have your card section, which actually displays all this. And you can obviously link these using anchor tags to whatever page you want to link them to. I'm sure they are linked over here. Yep. Yeah, the lead somewhere. So obviously you can add anchor tags to it and list them across. So, all right, good. We will continue to do the other sections in the next video. I'll probably cut the section short and go maybe straight to the footer. Awesome. See you guys in the next one.